there, fantasy owners. Welcome to LTC Fantasy. Not sure if you're watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but appreciate the listen or the watch nonetheless. And today we're going to continue with our team reviews. We're going to look at the Buffalo Sabres. We're going to take a look at the lines as listed on dailyfaceoff.com because we're into the dog days of summer. Most of the free agents are already signed, so rosters are pretty much set. There'll be the odd tweak depending what happens with injuries and training camps, but it's all the big guns are signed, so it's pretty set here. So it's pretty safe. Other than Klingberg, I did the Anaheim podcast, and then a couple days later he signs with Anaheim. So much for trying to do it alphabetical order than have to go back. But nonetheless, we'll get into it. Buffalo, their goalie tandem next year is Craig Anderson and Eric Comrey. So starting off, Craig Anderson, he's 41 years old. He's getting up there, almost as old as I am. 31 games played. He was 17, 12, and 2. Really nice record considering Buffalo's expectations last year. They actually exceeded expectations. He had a 3.12 goals against average and 897 save percentage. Of course, you'd like to see that save percentage higher. What to expect from him this year? To be honest, they're probably going to let Comrey run with it. He does tend to get injured just given his age, but somebody worth streaming if he is playing hot because he does put some nice streaks together. Other one's a newcomer, Eric Comrey. He's 27 years old, came over from Winnipeg, played really good last year. 19 games played, he was 10, 5, and 1. Considering Winnipeg had a disappointing season, had one shutout, 2.58 goals against average, so nice there, and 920 save percentage. So is he the goalie of the future? He did sign for 2 years, so they're probably waiting to see how he does because they do have Pekka Laukkanen in the wings and Devin Levi. So there are some goaltending options to come up from the farm club, depending what happens with Anderson if he does get injured, or Comrey for that matter. Either can get injured. But Buffalo, they surprised last year. They improved their roster a little bit as the guys get older because they're pretty young. So do expect them to sneak in some wins there next year. Moving over to defense, their top pairing is Matthias Samuelson and Rasmus Darlene. Start off with Matthias Samuelson. He should be on the second PK, and he's 22 years old, so young defenseman. 42 games played, 0 goals, 10 assists for 10 points. Did throw 100 hits, 60 blocks, and 44 shots on goal. Probably not going to get drafted, but somebody to stream, because last year I remember Yoki Harju was up on that top line top pairing, with Darlene, and there's a couple weeks stretch there where he was worth streaming. He did get some points, so keep an eye on who Darlene's partner is because he might be worth streaming on a light night. Moving over to Rasmus Darlene, that's the guy you want. Should be on the first power play unit. Him too is only 22 years old. Really young top pairing there. There's another defenseman younger. We'll get to him in a little bit. But 80 games played, 13 goals, 40 assists for 53 points. Anytime you can get over that 50-point mark for a defenseman, that's really nice. 21 power play points. So he put up a lot of points on the power play. Threw 121 hits, which for an offensive defenseman, that's a really nice total there. 91 blocks, so gets you a decent amount of blocks too. And 170 shots on goal. So definitely puts the puck on the net. So he's definitely the one you want. Fallback plan is, but he might even get drafted higher. On their second pairing is Owen Power and Ilya Lyabushkin. Now, Owen Power, should be on the second power play unit and slated to play on the top penalty kill. It's a lot considering he's only 19 years old. But he was the first overall pick there. 8 games played. He had 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. So almost half point per game as an 18-year-old. Small sample size, mind you, but that's really good. Remember Makar and other guys that came in young. Think of that with Power. So he might get drafted ahead of Darlene. So Darlene's not a fallback plan. But if you don't get Darlene, don't hesitate too much to jump on Power there. In those 8 games, he only had 1 hit, 9 blocks, so decent amount of blocks, and 10 shots on goal. probably a little bit nervous there. He'll be feeling good after getting a camp in, etc. So I do expect him to be fantasy relevant this year. His partner, on the other hand, not so much. Ilya Labushkin should be on the second PK. He's 28 years old, 77 games played last year, 2 goals, 13 assists for 15 points. He's just your steady Eddie defenseman. You love him on your team, but not necessarily on your fantasy roster. 187 hits and 92 blocks. So there's a little bit there depending if you need some help in the block and hit department. And 54 shots on goal. Third pairing is Jacob Bryson and Henry Yoki Harju. Now Jacob Bryson, he's 24 years old. He had 73 games played last year, 1 goal, 9 assists for 10 points. 7 of those 10 points were on the power play. He's not expected to get power play time, but if there is an injury to somebody like Darlene, that might be somebody that they slate in there, so keep an eye on that. He threw 55 hits, 73 blocks, and 43 shots on goal. So other than a chance of an injury where he gets some power play time, you're probably leaving him alone. And the last one's Henry Yoki Harju. He should be on the top PK unit, 23 years old, like really young defenseman there, where they got one 28-year-old and the rest are 25 or younger. Last year, 60 games played, 3 goals, 16 assists for 19 points, 4 of them on the power play, 73 hits, 60 blocks, 83 shots on goal. Now with the emergence of power, etc., he's been moved down the depth chart. Not that he had a lot of fantasy relevance before, but even less now. So leave him alone, to be honest for you. Top line, they had a really good season last year, and Jeff Skinner, Tage Thompson, and Victor Olson. Olson was flipped in and out with Tuck there, but Skinner and Thompson there. Start off with Skinner. He should be on the top power play. 30 years old now. 80 games played. He had 33 goals, so another 30-goal season for him. 30 assists for 63 points. 11 of them on the power play. 29 hits, 20 blocks, so definitely not going to throw the body or stand in front of a puck, but likes to shoot the puck. 262 shots on goal. Next one, Tage Thompson. Should be on the top power play unit and second PK unit. Nice return on the Ryan O'Reilly trade there. 24 years old, 78 games played. He had 38 goals, so damn near a 40-goal man. 30 assists for 68 points. 16 of them on the power play. 66 hits, so throws the body a little bit more than Skinner, obviously. 25 blocks and 253 shots on goal. That's a guy that I'm probably drafting first from the forward group. Then maybe Olson, Skinner, then Olson and Tuck there. But last one, Victor Olson, second unit power play should be, 27 years old. Started off really slow. There was talk about trading him, maybe buying him out. But he had a good little stretch there at the end of the season. 72 games played. Stuck in there, 20-goal man, 20 goals, 29 assists for 49 points. 12 power play points, 10 hits, 15 blocks, 164 shots on goal. Personally, how irrelevant he was for part of the season, I'm probably leaving him off my roster. Kind of reminds me of Alexander Semin, if you remember him. He was great when he was on hot streaks. But man, he was frustrating to have on your roster on a regular basis because he'd have those dry spells. He was completely a ghost on the ice. You didn't even know he was on there. Second line is Peyton, Krebs, Casey Middlestat, and Alex Tuck. Now the second line should start producing this year as they're getting a little bit older. Outside of, Tuck's even 26, but Peyton Krebs should be on the second power play unit. Only 21 years old. He had 57 games played. He had 7 goals, 15 assists for 22 points. So a little lower production, but he was buried on the third line in and out of the lineup. Do really expect him to improve on that. Is it somebody that I draft? Depends how deep the league is. I might take a chance on him. But 10 of those points were on the power play through 25 hits and 8 blocks. So definitely not standing in front of a puck. Hits are a little low. 56 shots on goal. His center is Casey Middlestat. He's slated to play on that top power play, and with Skinner and Thompson up there, that's definitely somebody that might turn out to increase his production. 23 years old. Last year, 40 games played only, so missed a little over half the season. 6 goals, 13 assists for 19 points. Really do expect him to improve there as Buffalo is on the upswing. 7 power play points, 19 hits, 12 blocks, 79 shots on goal. The last one's Alex Tuck. He's on the top power play unit, first PK unit, only 26 years old. Only played 50 games last year. Remember, he missed the first 32 with the injury. Started out really hot. 12 goals, 26 assists for 38 points. Just started to mention, he started out really, really hot. He was over a point per game or right around a point per game. Then he got really, really cold. So for me, I'm streaming him. I'm not drafting him. But depending how deep your league is, you could do worse. You could probably do better, though. 8 power play points, 32 hits, 49 blocks, and 139 shots on goal. Now, there's third line is Rasmus Darlene, Dylan Cozens, and Jack Quinn. Now, Asplund is 24 years old. Last year, he got into 80 games. He had 8 goals, 19 assists for 27 points. 4 of them on the power play. Probably not going to get a lot of power play time this year, but with injuries to Tuck, etc., and bringing different people in through the draft, he's probably not going to get any. Leave him alone, to be honest for you. Through 30 hits, 14 blocks, so not a lot there. 130 shots on goal, so not too bad. But if you're only relying on shots, there's a lot better options out there for you. Dylan Cozens, he should be on the second power play unit. He's only 21 years old, another young kid in Buffalo. Last year, 79 games played, 13 goals, 25 assists for 38 points. I don't mind that from a 20-year-old. That he's slated to start on the third line, though, that has me a little bit worried. But I could see him jumping up the depth chart fairly quickly. So it might be somebody that I leave off the roster, but an early season watch to see if he does bump into that top 6. 9 of those points were on the power play. 35 hits, 22 blocks, and 160 shots on goal. And the last one on the third line is Jack Quinn. This should be on the second power play unit. 21 years old. Last year, he only got into 2 games in the NHL there for Buffalo. He did have 2 points in those games. And in the AHL, he was a stud. 61 points in 45 games played. With that, playing with Cozens, they might build one of the better third lines in the league. But to be honest, how fantasy relevant can a third line be? But he could sneak up into the top 6 too, like Cozens. So I'll be watching him. Won't necessarily draft him. Their fourth line is Anders Bjork, Zemgus Gergesens, and Kyle Okposo. Now, all these guys, I'm, for the most part, probably leaving them alone. Anders Bjork's 25 years old, 58 games played, 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points. Nothing there, really. 11 hits, 16 blocks, 51 shots on goal. Leaving him alone, to say the least. Zemgus Gergesens, he should be on the top PK, so get a little more ice time. He's 28 years old. Last year played 56 games, had 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points, so not the greatest production. 4 were on the power play, but that was due to a lot of forwards being injured last year in Buffalo. 81 hits, not bad, but not great, and for 51 games, 25 blocks, 92 shots on goal. To be honest, leaving him alone. And the last one's Kyle Okposo. He's on the second PK, 34 years old. He played in 74 games last year, had 21 goals, so 20 goal guy, 24 assists for 45 points. So nice production considering he's 33 last year, and limited ice time, but he did get a little bit of power play time with the injuries to the forwards there, so take that with a grain of salt. Might be somebody to stream on a light night in case there is an injury in the top 6. He's played a lot of top 6 minutes through his career. He'd be easy to get in and out, but leaving him on my roster for a draft. 14 power play points, 59 hits, 19 blocks, 174 shots on goal. So we'll be out in another day or two with another one there. Hope you did like it. If you're watching via YouTube, remember to hit like, hit subscribe, and remember that notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos. If you're listening via podcast, don't forget to follow, hit that heart, etc., depending what platform you're listening through. That way you don't miss out on any episodes. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the fantasy offseason, and good luck in your upcoming draft there, fantasy owners.